The heavy silence descended upon the boutique the moment she crossed the glass door. Chloe felt every eye glued to her as 3 sales associates stopped what they were doing to observe her from head to toe. The black woman, with naturally textured hair pulled back in a simple bun, wore faded jeans and a wrinkled cotton blouse. Her white sneakers were dusty. "Are you sure you entered the right store?" A cold voice came from the back of the store, loaded with venom. What none of them knew was that this decision to belittle her would cost much more than they could imagine. The elite fashion boutique occupied one of the most prestigious addresses on Fifth Avenue. Impeccable window displays, imported perfume in the air, Italian handbags on illuminated shelves. Everything there screamed exclusivity. Chloe had spent the entire day in external meetings with suppliers. She didn't care for appearances when she was working. But now, in the late afternoon, she decided to do something she rarely did, a surprise visit to one of her own stores. Chloe Rodriguez was the founder and owner of the elite fashion chain, 12 stores spread across the city, an empire built with sweat and a clear vision, to offer quality fashion with impeccable service. But she never forgot where she came from. The daughter of a housekeeper, raised in a tough neighborhood, she knew well the pain of being invisible. Because of this, she established a clear rule: respect above all else. No matter how the customer is dressed, everyone deserves dignity. Chloe walked between the clothing racks, touched a navy blue silk dress, checking the stitching. It was from the new collection, beautiful, well executed. The 3 sales associates clustered near the counter, whispering among themselves. They didn't approach to offer help, they just watched, casting furtive glances and muffled giggles. Cristina Vasconcelos was the leader of that group. 3 years at Elite Fashion, she considered herself the best salesperson in the store. Beautiful, well-dressed, impeccable, but she had a flaw she didn't recognize: arrogance. For Cristina, providing good service meant serving those with money. The rest was a waste of time. She looked at Chloe once more, assessing every detail: the simple outfit, the worn shoes. She rolled her eyes. Chloe pretended not to notice. She continued observing the clothes, now examining a shelf of blouses. She picked up a white piece, turned the tag, checked the price, everything within the established standard. She put the blouse back and walked toward a section of coats. It was then that Cristina approached. Her high heels struck the marble floor with a deliberately loud rhythm, as if to announce her arrival. She stopped a few steps from Chloe, crossed her arms, and forced a smile without warmth. "Can I help you with anything?" she asked with a tone that clearly said the opposite. Chloe lifted her eyes and smiled politely. "Yes, thank you. I'm just browsing the pieces. I'd like to see some coats, please." Cristina let out a short, almost imperceptible giggle, but one loaded with scorn. "Coats," she repeated as if the word were funny. "You know, the pieces here are a bit of an investment, right? They aren't popular prices." The insult was wrapped in polite words, but the message was clear: you can't afford anything here. Chloe took a deep breath. She felt the old sensation rising in her chest, that mix of anger, humiliation, and sadness she knew so well, but she kept her composure, maintaining the smile. "I understand. Still, I'd like to see the coats." Cristina sighed theatrically and pointed vaguely to a rack in the corner of the store. "They're over there. Feel free to look." She turned her back, returning to the counter where the other sales associates waited. The 3 began whispering again, now without any pretense. Giggles echoed through the silent salon. Chloe walked to the indicated rack. The coats were beautiful. She picked up a caramel-colored one, put it on, and looked in the mirror. It fit perfectly. "Excuse me," Chloe called out. "Do you have this style in other colors?" Cristina didn't even turn around. "Just what's on the rack." One of the other sales associates whispered something in Cristina's ear. The 2 laughed loudly. Cristina picked up her cell phone and discreetly pointed it toward Chloe, as if taking a picture. Chloe saw the movement in the mirror's reflection, felt her heart tighten. It wasn't the first time she had gone through this, but it hurt every time. She took off the coat, put it back, and walked to the counter. "I need to speak to the manager, please." Christina arched an eyebrow. The manager is busy. Is there a problem? Yes. I'd like to file a complaint about the service. The three exchanged glances. Christina smiled subtly. Look, sweetie, she said in a condescending and infantilizing tone. I know you must be frustrated not finding anything in your budget, but this is a designer store. Maybe you'd be more comfortable in the downtown shops. They have more affordable options there, the brunette completed. Yeah, and there you don't have to worry about embarrassment. Chloe felt her blood boil, but she kept her hands steady. So, you're not going to call the manager? Christina shrugged. No need. I think everything is clarified, isn't it? The others laughed. One of them started typing on her cell phone, likely sending the photo to mock her. It was at that moment that something shifted in Chloe's eyes. She nodded slowly. I understand. Thank you. And she walked out of the store. Christina turned to her colleagues, and the three burst into laughter. Did you see her face, the brunette? Juliana said. People like her shouldn't even come in here, Christina commented. We could be serving real customers. What none of the three knew was that Chloe hadn't really left. Outside, she grabbed her cell phone. Her fingers flew across the screen as she typed a message that would change everything. Inside the boutique, the sales associates continued laughing, completely oblivious to what was about to happen. The storm was just beginning. 20 minutes later, Christina and her colleagues were still laughing, recalling every detail of the humiliation. I still can't believe she had the nerve to ask for coats, Juliana, wiping away a tear from laughing so hard, said. Coats for $3,000. She barely had decent shoes. Amanda, the third sales associate, shook her head while organizing handbags in the window. The worst part is that these people don't get the hint. We look a certain way, we make it clear this isn't their place, but they insist. Christina was leaning on the counter, scrolling through Instagram. You know what I think? People like that watch too many movies. They think they'll walk into a designer store and be treated like a celebrity. They need to understand their place. Juliana picked up her cell phone and opened a message group with sales associates from other stores in the area. I'm sending her picture to the group. The girls are going to die laughing. Amanda hesitated. What if it causes trouble? Relax. Juliana said, typing quickly. No one will know who she is. And even if they find out, what's she going to do, Sue? Everyone takes pictures in stores. Christina shrugged. Let her try. We were just doing our job. If she felt offended, that's her problem. This is a luxury boutique, not social services. The three laughed loudly. The sound echoed through the empty store. It was Tuesday afternoon, a slow time, with few customers in the mall. The door opened, and an elegant client entered. A woman in her 50s, a designer bag on her arm, perfectly styled blonde hair. She wore a light blue knee-length dress and high heels. Her expensive perfume arrived before she did. Immediately, the three sales associates changed their posture. Wide smiles, straight posture, total attention. Good afternoon, Christina said with genuine enthusiasm, putting down her cell phone. Welcome to elite fashion. Can I help you with anything? The difference was brutal. Chloe had been ignored, scorned, humiliated. This woman was being received like royalty. I'm looking for a dress for a wedding, the client said, looking around. Of course, we have stunning pieces from the new collection, Christina replied, already guiding the woman to a specific rack. What is the occasion exactly? Daytime or evening wedding? While Christina served the client with total dedication, Juliana and Amanda returned to the counter. Juliana picked up her cell phone again and showed the screen to Amanda. Look at the replies in the group, she whispered, giggling softly. Patricia from the Beverly Hills store said she already kicked out 3 like that this week. Amanda read the messages and laughed along. We should make a list. Like, if a person is kicked out of one store, we notify the others to keep an eye out. That would be perfect, Juliana agreed. It would save us time. They didn't realize that the client Christina was serving had moved away slightly and was now looking toward them with a disapproving expression. The woman had clearly heard part of the conversation. She frowned but said nothing. She simply returned her attention to the dresses. Christina, oblivious to everything, continued her impeccable service. This one is pure Italian silk, she explained, holding up a long, emerald green dress. Perfect drape, elegant without being too flashy, perfect for a wedding. The client took the dress, analyzing it carefully. It's beautiful, she admitted. But do you have it in other colors? We have it in navy blue and in wine, Christina promptly replied. Would you like to try all three to compare? Yes, please. Christina escorted the client to the fitting rooms, helped her with the dresses, and returned to the counter while the woman changed clothes. She's definitely going to buy, Christina said in a low voice to her colleagues. You can tell she has real money. How can you tell right away? Amanda asked. Christina smiled with an air of superiority. Experience. You look at the shoes, the handbag, the watch, the way they speak. In 5 seconds, you know if it's worth spending your energy or not. Juliana nodded. Exactly. That woman today, for example, 5 seconds and I already knew she was a waste of time. And she still stayed here for about 15 minutes, Amanda completed, taking up our time, touching the expensive pieces with her dirty hands. Dirty hands, Christina laughed. I noticed that. She even had dirt under her nails. The three made faces of disgust. The client stepped out of the fitting room wearing the green dress. She spun in front of the mirror, analyzing it from all angles. So? Christina asked, already anticipating the sale. It looks perfect on you. The client looked in the mirror one more time, then looked at Christina. Her expression was neutral, impossible to read. You know, she said slowly. I really liked the dress. It truly is beautiful. Christina smiled, already mentally reaching for the card machine. But, the client continued with a colder tone. I don't feel comfortable buying from a store where the sales associates talk about other people that way. Christina's smile froze. What do you mean? I heard you, the woman said, pointing her chin toward Juliana and Amanda, talking about kicking out customers, making lists, judging people by their appearance. That's unacceptable. Christina tried to salvage the situation quickly. Oh, ma'am, you must have misunderstood. I didn't misunderstand, the client cut in, returning to the fitting room. I understood perfectly. She changed clothes quickly and came out of the fitting room, already dressed in her own clothes. She walked past the 3 sales associates without another word and headed straight for the door. Wait. Christina called out, desperate. Don't you want to see other styles? The woman turned around before leaving. No. And I'll tell all my friends not to shop here either. You are everything that's wrong with the luxury market. And she left, letting the door slam behind her. A heavy silence fell over the store. Juliana and Amanda exchanged worried glances. Christina was pale. Damn, Juliana murmured. She heard everything. So what? Christina said, trying to sound confident, but her voice trembled slightly. She's too sensitive. And even if she tells her friends, what does that change? We have hundreds of clients. Amanda didn't look convinced. Christina, she had a designer bag. That type of client has influence. If she speaks badly about us on social media. She won't do that, Christina interrupted, more to convince herself than the others. People of that level don't make a scene on social media. Relax. But deep down, Christina was worried. Losing a big sale was bad, losing an influential client was worse. She shook her head, pushing away the negative thoughts. Forget it. It was just a lost sale. It happens. Juliana and Amanda returned to work, but the atmosphere was no longer the same. The laughter had ceased. A strange feeling hung in the air. Christina picked up her cell phone and tried to distract herself, but she couldn't stop thinking about the client who had left. And, without knowing why, she also couldn't stop thinking about the black woman in simple clothes they had humiliated earlier. Something wasn't right. She felt it in the pit of her stomach. That uncomfortable sensation you get when you do something wrong and you know the consequences are coming. But Christina pushed that feeling away. It was paranoia. It had to be. After all, what could a woman of simple appearance do against them? Absolutely nothing. Or at least that's what Christina thought. Because in an office on the other side of the city, Chloe Rodriguez was sitting in a leather chair behind a huge mahogany desk, with 3 monitors in front of her. On one of them were the security camera images from all her stores. And on the main screen, the video from the boutique where she had been humiliated was playing on repeat. She watched everything again, every look of disdain, every malicious laugh, every cruel word. Her face showed no anger, only a deep sadness and an unwavering determination. Chloe picked up the internal phone and pressed a button. "Marcia, could you come to my office, please? We need to talk about the Park Avenue store." On the other end of the line, her assistant replied promptly, "I'm on my way, Chloe." Chloe hung up the phone and returned her gaze to the screen. The 3 sales associates appeared in the image, laughing, oblivious to what was coming. She took a deep breath. The storm was about to fall on those 3, and when it did, there would be nowhere to hide. Marcia entered Chloe's office carrying a tablet and a worried expression. At 42, she had been Chloe's executive assistant for over a decade. She knew her boss better than anyone. And when Chloe called her with that tone of voice, she knew something serious had happened. "Chloe, what is it?" Marcia asked, sitting in the chair in front of the desk. Chloe rotated one of the monitors toward her assistant. On the screen, the security camera video showed the exact moment she entered the Park Avenue boutique. "Watch," Chloe said, her voice calm but loaded with contained emotion. Marcia watched in silence. Her eyes widened when she saw the sales associates ignoring Chloe, whispering among themselves, laughing. When Christina said, "Are you sure you entered the right store?" Marcia held her breath. When the sales associates suggested that Chloe look for more affordable stores, the assistant closed her eyes for a moment, as if feeling the pain of those words. The video continued. It showed Christina secretly taking a photo of Chloe. It showed the 3 sales associates laughing as Chloe left the store, visibly shaken. When the video ended, Marcia had tears in her eyes. "My God, Chloe," she murmured. "How could they?" "It wasn't just them," Chloe said, her voice still controlled. "Look what happened afterward." She clicked on another file. Now the video showed the 3 sales associates laughing loudly, reminiscing about the humiliation. It showed Juliana sending Chloe's photo to a message group. It showed the conversations about kicking out unwanted customers and making lists. Marcia shook her head, incredulous. "This is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable." Chloe leaned back in her chair, the weight of the situation visible on her shoulders. "You know what's worse, Marcia? It's not even the humiliation itself. I've been through that before, when I was young and had few resources. I know how much it hurts. The worst part is that it's happening in my company, the company I built precisely so no one would have to go through that." She paused, her voice faltering slightly for the first time. "I failed. I failed to transmit the values that have always been the foundation of everything. I failed to create a genuine culture of respect." Marcia leaned forward. "You didn't fail, Chloe. You created clear policies. You trained everyone. You always made it clear that respect is non-negotiable. What happened there was their choice. They chose to ignore everything you taught." Chloe nodded slowly, but the pain was still etched on her face. "When I walked into that store today," she began, her voice lower now. "I wasn't testing anyone. I just wanted to see the store, see how the new collection pieces were. I was tired after a full day of meetings. I didn't even remember to change or dress up better." She looked at her own hands. And the moment I crossed that door, I stopped being Chloe Rodriguez, the businesswoman. I became that humble girl from the neighborhood again, that teenager who walked into stores and was followed by security guards. That young woman who heard sales associates whisper that she didn't have the money to be there. Marcia knew Chloe's story, knew where she had come from, but had never seen her boss so vulnerable. All those old wounds returned, Chloe continued. I thought I had overcome them, thought I had shielded myself, but when that sales associate looked at me that way, when she said those words, I felt tiny again. And you know what I did, Marcia? Chloe gave a sad smile. I tried to maintain my dignity. I tried to be polite. I tried to gently ask for help, as if politeness and kindness would change anything for people who have already decided you're worthless based on your appearance. She shook her head. I asked to see the coats. I asked to speak to the manager. And each time I opened my mouth, they scorned me more, as if I didn't have the right to be there, as if my simple presence were an offense. Marcia wiped away a tear that escaped. You didn't deserve to go through that. No one deserves it, Chloe corrected firmly. Absolutely no one. It doesn't matter how the person is dressed, it doesn't matter how much money they have. Every human being deserves to be treated with basic dignity. She pointed to the monitor. These three women haven't learned that, or they learned it and chose to ignore it. Either way, they represent everything I fight against, everything I swore would never happen in my stores. What are you going to do? Marcia asked. Chloe took a deep breath. First, I need to know if this is an isolated case or if it's happening in other stores too. I want you to review the security camera videos from all units. Look for similar situations, clients being treated disrespectfully, sales associates being prejudiced. Marcia picked up her tablet and began taking notes. Second, Chloe continued, I want a complete audit of the training for all teams. I need to know where we are going wrong, because the message isn't getting through. Understood? And third, Chloe paused, her eyes returning to the screen where the three sales associates were seen laughing. Tomorrow morning, I'm going back to that store, but this time, as the owner. Marcia's eyes widened. You're going to confront them personally? I am. They need to understand the seriousness of what they did. And I need to look them in the eye and ask, why? Why did you choose to be cruel? What made you think that was acceptable? Chloe, you don't have to expose yourself like this. You could simply send the district manager or HR. No, Chloe interrupted. This is personal. It's not just about company policies or HR procedures. It's about human values. It's about the kind of world we want to create. And I need to be there. Marcia nodded, knowing it was useless to argue when Chloe made a decision. All right, I'll prepare everything. What time would you like me to schedule it? Don't schedule anything. It will be another surprise visit. I want to see them react when they find out who I am. I want to see if there is any genuine remorse or if it's just fear of the consequences. Chloe returned her gaze to the monitor. The sales associates were still laughing in the frozen video. You know, she said softly. The saddest part of all this is that these women have probably gone through some kind of prejudice or disrespect in their own lives. Most people have. But instead of using that experience to have more empathy, they chose to perpetuate the cycle. They chose to become the oppressors. It hurts more when it comes from someone who should understand, Marcia agreed. Exactly. And that's why I can't just fire them and move on. I need to understand how we got here. I need to ensure this never happens again. Marcia stood up. I'll start reviewing the videos right now and prepare a full report for tomorrow morning. Thank you, Marcia. And Chloe hesitated. Thank you for caring, for feeling the pain with me. Always, Marcia said with a sad smile. You know that. After Marcia left, Chloe was alone in her office. Night was falling over the city, and the lights of the buildings began to turn on. She looked out the window, watching the movement of the streets below. She picked up her cell phone and opened the photo gallery. She scrolled until she found an old, faded photo. It was her at 17, too thin, in worn clothes, in front of a market stall where she sold used clothes. That girl had a dream. She wanted to have her own store someday. She wanted to create a place where all people, with or without resources, would be welcome, where no one would feel ashamed to enter. And she succeeded. She built an empire, 12 stores, hundreds of employees, millions in revenue. But today, for the first time in years, Chloe wondered, was it worth it? Was all the financial success worth anything if she couldn't ensure that the most basic values were respected? She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. No, she wasn't going to give up. She wasn't going to let that moment of pain defeat her. Tomorrow she would return to that store, and this time, the storm would finally fall. The sales associates still didn't know, they were still laughing, still scoffing, still thinking they had gotten away with it. But the night was coming, and with it came the reckoning. The next morning arrived with a clear, sunny sky. At the Park Avenue boutique, Christina, Juliana, and Amanda were starting another workday. The atmosphere was relaxed, as if nothing had happened the day before. "Good morning, girls," Christina said, putting her bag under the counter. She wore an impeccably cut beige blazer and high heels. Her hair was perfectly straightened. "Good morning," Juliana and Amanda replied in unison. Christina turned on the store's sound system, adjusted the lighting, and checked that all the pieces were organized. It was a routine she performed with precision every day. For her, this was just another normal Wednesday. "Did you see the group last night?" Juliana asked, laughing. "Fernanda from the Miami store sent a hilarious story." "I did," Amanda replied. "Looks like she had one of those encounters yesterday too." The three laughed. They had completely forgotten the elegant client who had left indignant. They had forgotten the woman in simple clothes they had humiliated. For them, they were just two more unimportant episodes in their lives. Christina was checking the inventory on the computer when the store phone rang. She answered with her professional voice. "Elite Fashion." "Good morning." Christina speaking. On the other end of the line, a formal male voice. "Good morning, Christina. This is Richard, the district manager. Everything okay, over there?" Christina became a little tense. The district manager usually didn't call without reason. "Everything great, Richard. Any problem?" No. Just wanted to let you know we might have a visit today. Nothing serious, just routine. Keep everything in order, okay? You can count on it. The store is impeccable, as always." "Great. Call me if anything comes up." Christina hung up and turned to her colleagues. "Richard said we might have a visit today. Let's make sure the service is outstanding." "Visit from whom?" Juliana asked. "I don't know, he didn't say, but let's keep everything perfect." The three went back to work, a little more attentive now. Visits from management always made everyone a bit nervous. At 10:15 a.m., the boutique door opened, and Chloe Rodriguez entered. She was different from the day before. She wore an impeccably tailored charcoal gray suit. Elegant but comfortable mid-heels. A genuine leather handbag. Her natural hair was loose, framing her face with pride. She wore discreet but well-applied makeup. But she was the same woman, the same face, the same person they had humiliated less than 24 hours ago. Christina looked up when the door opened. Her eyes met Chloe's, and her world stopped. She knew that face. She was sure she knew that face. But from where? Christina's brain worked frantically, trying to put the pieces together. That woman, she had seen that woman before. Not yesterday. It wasn't possible. The woman yesterday was poorly dressed, tired, simple. But the eyes, those eyes were the same. Juliana and Amanda also looked at Chloe. Something in their expressions changed, an oddness, an inexplicable discomfort. Chloe walked slowly through the store, her hands touching the pieces with familiarity. She picked up the same navy blue dress she had touched yesterday. She felt the fabric between her fingers, checked the tag. The 3 sales associates exchanged confused glances. None of them approached to offer help. They were paralyzed by a strange sensation they couldn't name. Chloe walked to the coat rack, picked up the same caramel coat she had tried on the day before. She ran her hand gently over the fabric, like someone recalling a painful memory. It was then that Christina had a flashback. The woman yesterday, the simple clothes, the dusty sneakers, the tiredness on her face. It was her. Christina's blood ran cold. "My God," she whispered, so low the sound barely escaped. Juliana noticed Christina's reaction and frowned. "What is it?" Christina couldn't respond. Her eyes were fixed on Chloe, and panic was starting to settle in her chest. Chloe finally turned to face them. Her eyes scanned the faces of the 3 sales associates, one by one. She didn't smile, didn't show anger, she just observed. The silence was deafening. "Good morning," Chloe finally said, her voice calm and controlled. "Gee, good morning," Christina stammered, her usual confidence completely evaporated. "Do you remember me?" Chloe asked, still with that frightening calmness. Christina opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Her face was quickly losing color. Juliana and Amanda finally understood. The realization fell upon them like a bucket of cold water. They exchanged terrified glances. We. Christina tried to form a sentence, but the words wouldn't come. Chloe took a step toward the counter. The 3 sales associates instinctively recoiled. "Yesterday," Chloe said, each word measured. "I walked into this store, and you treated me with total disrespect. You laughed at me, humiliated me, took a picture of me to mock me." Christina felt tears burning in her eyes, not from sadness, but from pure terror. No, I didn't mean to." She tried, but Chloe raised her hand, signaling silence. "I didn't come here to hear excuses yet. I came here to ask a very simple question." The 3 waited, barely able to breathe. "Why?" Chloe asked, and for the first time, her voice trembled slightly. "Why did you think it was okay to treat another human being that way?" Christina opened her mouth again, but no justification seemed adequate. Nothing she could say would erase what she had done. "Do you know who I am?" Chloe asked. The 3 shook their heads timidly, but deep down, Christina already suspected, already knew that something very, very bad was about to happen. "My name is Chloe Rodriguez," she said, letting the name hang in the air for a moment. "I am the founder and owner of Elite Fashion, of all the Elite Fashion stores, including this one." If there had been any color on the faces of Christina, Juliana, and Amanda before, there was none now. They were white as a sheet. "You work for me," Chloe continued. "And yesterday, you disrespected everything I built. You disrespected the values I try to teach. You disrespected the dignity I have always championed." Juliana began to cry. Amanda covered her mouth with her hands in shock. Christina just shook her head slowly, as if she couldn't believe her own nightmare. "I built this company from the ground up," Chloe said, her voice firmer now. "I started by selling clothes at a market. I went hungry. I was cold. I went through exactly what you made me go through yesterday, countless times in countless stores." She paused, letting that sink in. "And when I finally managed to have my own store, I swore to myself, never, never will I allow anyone to be treated the way I was treated. Everyone who walks into my stores will be treated with respect, with or without resources, well-dressed or poorly dressed, everyone." Christina sank to the floor behind the counter, leaning on it to keep from falling completely. She was sobbing now, aware of the magnitude of what she had done. "I am so sorry," she managed to say between sobs. "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so very sorry." Chloe looked at her, and for the first time, her expression softened slightly, but only slightly. "I know you are sorry, but you are sorry because you were caught. You are sorry because you found out who I am. If I were truly a client without resources, without power, without influence, would you be sorry, or would you still be laughing right now?" Christina had no answer for that, because the truth was obvious and it hurt. The three of you will come up to the conference room with me now, Chloe said. And we are going to have a very serious conversation about what happened, why it happened, and what will happen now. She looked at her watch. The district manager should be arriving soon. HR too. This will not be an easy conversation for any of you. Chloe turned to leave but stopped and looked back one last time. Oh, and just so you know, she said, her voice cold as ice. Everything that happened yesterday was recorded by the security cameras. Every word, every laugh, every look of contempt. So, don't try to lie or minimize what you did. I saw everything. Twice. And with that, she left the store toward the conference room on the building's upper floor. Christina, Juliana, and Amanda stood there, shattered, knowing that their lives were about to change completely. The moment of reckoning had arrived, and there was no turning back. The conference room on the second floor had a large glass table and leather chairs. Chloe was standing near the window when the three sales associates entered, escorted by the district manager, Richard, and Sandra, the HR director. Christina, Juliana, and Amanda came in last, heads bowed. Christina's eyes were red and swollen. Juliana was trembling. Amanda bit her lip, holding back tears. Sit down, Chloe said, her voice neutral. The three sat on one side of the table, Richard and Sandra on the other. Chloe remained standing. The three of you know why you are here, Chloe said. But I want to hear it from you. Christina, start. Christina cleared her throat, her voice trembling. A woman came into the store yesterday. She was dressed simply, and I judged her by her appearance. I thought she didn't have money. I treated her badly. I was rude. And what else? Christina closed her eyes. I took a picture of her to laugh about later. Juliana, your turn. Juliana sobbed. I sent the photo to a group with sales associates from other stores. We laughed at her. We talked about kicking out clients like that, I thought. Clients like that, Chloe repeated. Clients like... Humble clients, Juliana whispered, ashamed. Amanda. I agreed with everything. I laughed along. I said she had dirty hands. I was cruel. Chloe sat down. You know what hurts me the most? It's not just what you did to me, it's what it reveals about who you are. How many other people have you humiliated like this? None of them answered, but the answer was clear on their faces. Sandra opened a folder. Your behavior constitutes a serious violation of the code of conduct. Normally, this would result in termination for just cause. The three turned pale. However, Chloe interrupted, that decision is not mine alone. I could fire you now. It would be fair. But you would leave and continue to be the same people with the same prejudices. She stood up. What I want is real change. You will go through a 3-month process. Training on empathy, diversity, respect. You will work with psychologists, do volunteer work in underprivileged communities. Sandra clarified, you will work in different positions, inventory, organization. You will experience what it's like to be invisible. At the end, we will have a new evaluation. If you demonstrate genuine change, you can return. If not, you will be dismissed with all rights respected. The three were stunned. Why? Christina asked. Why are you giving us this chance? Chloe softened her expression. Because someone gave me a chance once. I made mistakes, and someone believed I could be better. She looked at each one. I don't know if you will take advantage of this chance, but I have to try. Because if I simply throw you away, I will be doing exactly what you did to me yesterday. Juliana cried. Tears of relief and shame. We don't deserve this. No, Chloe agreed. But I don't do things because people deserve them. I do them because it's the right thing to do. You have until tomorrow to decide, Sandra said. Accept the program or request termination. If you choose to stay, Chloe completed, her voice firm. I will hold you accountable for everything. It won't be easy. And if I realize you are just pretending, the door will close forever. The three nodded. You can go. Give me your answer tomorrow. Christina turned before leaving. I really am sorry. Good. Now you need to prove it. The three left. Richard and Sandra remained. Are you sure? Richard asked. Chloe looked out the window. No, but I have to try. If there's any possibility of transforming malice into goodness, I have to try. Sandra smiled. That's why this company is different, because of you. Downstairs, Christina, Juliana, and Amanda walked in silence, each lost in thought. The storm had fallen, but a lifeboat had been offered. Now it was up to them to decide whether to grab it. The next morning, Chloe arrived at her office early. She had slept poorly, waking up several times during the night, thinking about the three sales associates and the decision she had made. Part of her questioned whether she wasn't being too naive. But the other part, the one that knew the pain of humiliation, the one that understood the power of a second chance, knew she had done the right thing. At 9 sharp, her secretary announced over the intercom, Chloe, the 3 employees from the Park Avenue store are here. They want to speak with you. Chloe took a deep breath. Send them in. Christina, Juliana, and Amanda entered the room with hesitant steps. Their faces showed signs of a sleepless night, dark circles, swollen eyes, a pallor that betrayed the emotional weight they carried. They stood in front of Chloe's desk, like children awaiting a school principal's verdict. Sit down, Chloe said, pointing to the chairs. The 3 sat. No one spoke for a few seconds. The silence was dense, charged with expectation and fear. It was Christina who finally broke the silence. Her voice was low, hoarse from crying so much. We thought about it all night, the 3 of us together, actually. We went to Juliana's house after the meeting yesterday and talked until dawn. She paused, gathering courage. And we want to accept. We want the program. We want the chance to truly change. Juliana spoke up, wiping away a tear that escaped. I spent the whole night thinking about all the times I treated people poorly. And it wasn't just a few times, Chloe. I became something I hate. I became that person who judges, who belittles, who thinks she's better than others. Amanda nodded, her voice trembling. I called my mom last night, told her everything, and you know what she told me? That she had gone through that when she was younger she walked into a clothing store downtown and was treated exactly the way we treated you. And she cried, Chloe. My own mother cried, remembering the pain she felt. Amanda's words echoed in the room. Chloe felt a pang in her chest. She also had a mother who had gone through that. She herself had gone through it countless times. And then I realized, Amanda continued, that I did to you what they did to my mother. I caused that pain in another person, and it wasn't the first time. How many other mothers? How many other daughters have I hurt like this? Christina spoke again, this time with more firmness. We aren't accepting the program because we are afraid of losing our jobs. We are accepting because we need to. We need to change. We need to be better. Chloe watched the 3 of them. She looked for signs of falsehood, of manipulation, of superficial regret. But all she saw were 3 genuinely broken women, genuinely repentant, genuinely willing to change. I believe in you, Chloe finally said. And I will honor my word. You will have this chance. The 3 let out relieved breaths. But I want to make something very clear, Chloe continued, her voice growing more serious. This program is not a vacation. It is not a bureaucratic formality. It will be intense, uncomfortable, and it will demand everything from you. She stood up and walked to the window. You will work in inventory, in cleaning, in organization. You will wake up early to do volunteer work before your shift. You will go through individual and group therapy sessions. You will hear stories from people who suffered discrimination, and you will have to face your own prejudices head-on. Chloe turned to face them. There will be times when you will want to give up, times when you will think it's easier to just resign and leave. But if you truly want to change, if you truly want to be better, you will persist. The three nodded with determination. When do we start? Christina asked. You will receive the full schedule later today. And there's one more thing. Chloe walked to her desk and picked up a folder. The Park Avenue store is going through a complete restructuring. We are going to review all training processes. We are going to implement new service policies, and we are going to do this in all our stores. She opened the folder, showing documents and graphs. I had Marcia review the security videos from all units, and we found that the problem was not isolated. In at least 4 other stores, we identified similar behaviors of disrespect and prejudice. The three were shocked. This means I failed as a leader, Chloe admitted. I thought my words and values were enough, but clearly they were not. So, we are going to change this. We are going to create a mandatory training program on empathy and respect for all employees, not just the 3 of you. Juliana risked a question. And the other sales associates who were identified? They will also have the same choice you had. Transformation program or respectful termination. And those who choose to stay will go through the same process as you. Chloe closed the folder. The 3 of you were the first, and depending on how your journey goes, you will help shape the program for the others. You can become an example of real change. We won't disappoint you, Christina said with conviction. Don't disappoint yourselves, Chloe corrected. This journey is about you becoming the people you want to be, not about pleasing me. The 3 stood up, ready to leave. Chloe, Amanda said, hesitant. Can I ask one question? Of course. Why were you dressed that way when you entered the store? It wasn't a test? Chloe gave a sad smile. No, Amanda, it wasn't a test. I was tired after a full day of meetings. I was wearing comfortable clothes. I didn't think twice before entering the store, because in my mind, it shouldn't matter. No one should be judged by their appearance. She paused. But you judged, and that showed me how far we still have to go. Not just the 3 of you, but society as a whole. The 3 lowered their eyes, the shame still fresh. Go home, Chloe said. Rest today. Tomorrow, the real transformation begins. After they left, Chloe was alone in her office again. She picked up the phone and called Marcia. Marcia, can you come here, please? Minutes later, Marcia entered. They accepted? They accepted. And it seems genuine. Marcia smiled. You did the right thing, Chloe. I hope so. But regardless of the outcome with them, I want you to implement the changes we discussed. New training program for all stores. I want every employee to go through it, from the manager to the cleaning assistant. I'm organizing everything already, and I also created an anonymous reporting channel for clients and employees to report cases of discrimination. Perfect. And Marcia, thank you for being by my side through all this. Always, Chloe. Always. That night, as the city lit up its lights, Chloe looked at the old photo of herself at the market, the humble girl who had a dream. That girl grew up, built an empire, and was now using that empire to make a real difference. Justice wasn't just about punishing the wrongdoers, it was about giving them a chance to do the right thing. And for the first time in days, Chloe slept peacefully. 3 months later. The Park Avenue boutique was different. Not physically, but there was something in the air, a different energy, lighter, more welcoming. Chloe walked into the store one Thursday afternoon. She was wearing simple clothes again, jeans and a white t-shirt. An ordinary customer. No one recognized her immediately. A sales associate approached with a genuine smile. Good afternoon, welcome. Can I help you with anything? Chloe smiled back. I'm just browsing. Thank you. Feel free to look around. If you need anything at all, I'll be here. The sales associate stepped away but remained attentive without being intrusive. Chloe observed the store's dynamics. She saw how they treated every customer who entered, with or without resources, well-dressed or simple. Everyone received the same smile, the same attention, the same respect. In the back of the store, near the accessories section, Chloe saw Christina. She was helping an elderly woman in humble clothes choose a handbag. "This one is lovely on you, ma'am," Christina was saying patiently. "And look, we have a special promotion today. Would you like to try it on?" The woman smiled, embarrassed. "Oh, dear, I don't know if I can." "It doesn't cost anything to try it," Christina insisted gently. "Every woman deserves to feel beautiful, regardless of anything else." Chloe watched as Christina helped the woman with true affection. There was no rush, no judgment, there was only respect and empathy. 15 minutes later, the woman left the store with a small bag, a radiant smile on her face. Christina walked her to the door, wishing her a great day. It was only when she turned around that Christina saw Chloe standing there, observing. Her eyes widened for a second. Then she walked to the store owner. "Chloe," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "You saw?" "I saw everything." Christina had tears in her eyes. "These 3 months were the hardest of my life, but they were also the most important. I truly changed." Juliana and Amanda also appeared, having recognized Chloe. The three stood there, awaiting the final verdict. Chloe looked at each of them. She saw different women from the ones she had confronted 3 months ago. She saw humility where there had once been arrogance. She saw empathy where there had once been cruelty. "Tell me about these 3 months," Chloe asked. Christina began. "In the first month, I worked in inventory, carrying boxes, organizing products. And you know what I realized? That the inventory employees are invisible. No one thanks them, no one acknowledges them, and I was one of the people who ignored them." Juliana continued. "I did volunteer work in an underprivileged community. I met women who barely have enough to eat but who dream of walking into a beautiful store one day. And I realized that I was the person who would crush that dream for them." Amanda wiped away a tear. "I went through therapy and discovered that a lot of my prejudice came from insecurity. I judged others to feel superior, but deep down, I was the smaller person there." The three looked at each other, then turned back to Chloe. "We know we can't erase what we did," Christina said. "But we are trying every day to be better, to treat every person the way we would like to be treated." Chloe felt a warmth in her chest, genuine pride. "You passed. The 3 of you can officially return to sales." The 3 burst into hugs and tears of relief and gratitude. "But," Chloe continued, her voice growing more serious. "This is not a final achievement, it's a continuous commitment. You will stumble. Sometimes you will have moments of weakness, but the important thing is always to correct your course, always to choose empathy. We promise," the 3 said in unison. Chloe smiled. "I believe in you. And more importantly, you now believe in yourselves." She looked around the store. "This experience changed not just the 3 of you, but the entire company. We implemented the program in all stores. We trained over 300 employees. And you know what happened?" The 3 waited, curious. "Our sales increased by 40%. Because when you treat people with respect, when you welcome instead of pushing away, everyone wins." Chloe walked to the window, looking out at the busy street. "My mother used to tell me, 'Daughter, you can measure a person's character by how they treat those who can do nothing for them.' I never forgot that." She turned around. "And the 3 of you now understand that too. You went through the most important transformation there is, the transformation of the heart." A client walked into the store at that moment. A black woman wearing a work uniform, tired after a long day, exactly as Chloe had been 3 months ago. Christina looked at Chloe, then at the client, and without hesitation, walked over to her with a genuine, welcoming smile. "Good afternoon, welcome. My name is Christina. How can I help you today?" The woman seemed surprised by the warm reception. Her face lit up. "I just wanted to browse. Please feel free, Christina said. And if you want to try anything on, I'm here to help. We have beautiful pieces that will look wonderful on you. Chloe watched the scene with a lump in her throat. This was it. This was the moment she had worked so hard to create. She slipped out of the store discreetly, unnoticed. Outside, she stopped for a moment on the sidewalk, breathing the afternoon air. Her cell phone rang. It was Marcia. Chloe, I just received the client satisfaction report for this quarter. 98% positive reviews. The best result in the company's history. Chloe smiled. Send it to me later. And Marcia, thank you for everything. As she walked down the avenue, Chloe thought about everything that had happened. The pain of the humiliation, the initial anger, the decision to give a second chance. And now, the redemption. She hadn't just changed 3 sales associates, she had changed an entire culture. She had proven that it's possible to choose compassion over revenge, that it's possible to transform pain into growth. That night in her apartment, Chloe looked once more at the old photo, the girl from the market who sold used clothes. We did it, she whispered to the photo. We did more than just make money. We made a difference. And for the first time in a long time, Chloe didn't just feel successful, she felt fulfilled. Because in the end, success is not measured by what you accumulate, but by what you transform. And Chloe Rodriguez had transformed not just a business, she had transformed lives. Sometimes life will put you exactly back in the place where you were once humiliated, just to see if you have learned to respond with greatness. If this story made you think, leave a like now and comment below, respect above all else. Every comment is a reminder. Appearances change.